want to talk to you about something called codependent slips. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is the same as an addict can relapse or slip back into addiction behavior, codependents can slip backward into codependent behavior. This is when you've made progress, you've gotten to where you're less codependent or you're not reacting in a codependent way to a certain person or into a certain situation. And then all of a sudden you're back into reacting codependently and acting the way that you used to. So what is a codependent slip? Well, there are some signs that are kind of classic that you can watch for that will help you know that you are reacting in a codependent way. And the first one is you find yourself jumping into other people's relationships or other people's business. So you find yourself saying, oh, okay, I'll call and talk to him for you, or I'll take care of that, or I'll ask her what she thinks about that and get back to you. So in other words, you're trying to do what somebody else should maybe be doing for themselves. So you notice that you are getting into other people's stuff. And when you're not behaving codependently, you recognize, I'm not going to triangulate. I'm not going to get into the middle with other people. I'm not going to do something that somebody else should be doing for themselves. And when you notice that urge, and it's interesting because that one in particular, lately I've been noticing myself that I'll have that thought, well, I'll do that. And I stop myself and I'll say, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let it go. And it feels really good to not respond to that urge. And it's good because it keeps you from getting involved and it keeps you from getting exhausted and to getting into problems with other people. So the next one is you notice that you're giving advice. You start telling people what to do. When somebody presents a problem to you or a situation or a dilemma, you say things like, you should blank, or why don't you blank, or you start working at trying to figure out what the person should do so you can tell the person what to do. Again, you can be concerned, you can be caring, you can be interested, but it is not your responsibility to give the other person advice for what to do. And it's a really good habit, even with your own kids, to get into a place where you start asking even your young children questions like, what do you think you should do? Or what are your choices? Or what are you thinking might help this situation? So that your kids get used to trying to problem solve for themselves. The next one is you start thinking about what somebody else is thinking about you. You start worrying, what is that person thinking? What is that person what if that person doesn't like me? What if that person thinks that I'm mean? Or what if that person doesn't think I'm doing a good job? Or what if that person doesn't want me in this group or in this, whatever the situation is. So you start worrying, what is somebody else thinking about me? Again, one of the things that you know when you are working on your codependency is that it's none of your business what somebody else is thinking about you. You can't get in the other person's head. You don't have to know what another person is thinking, and you don't have to change what another person is thinking about you. And you don't have to please that person or change yourself to get that person to like you. So the next one is that you notice that you are neglecting your needs, maybe not just one time, but it's becoming more habitual for you to neglect your own needs to take care of someone else. And we do this in a balance, our own needs, and then we give what we need to give to other people, especially in relationships where we have a commitment and we have responsibilities, and we balance these. But when you notice that you're starting to get unbalanced and it's more about taking care of the other person or doing for the other person, or you notice that you are putting somebody else's needs before yours, you're getting back into the codependent mode. The next one is the obsession. When you notice yourself becoming obsessed about somebody else's choices, somebody else's behavior. An obsession, you're going to notice that because your mind is going to be continually processing it, thinking about it, stirring over it, wondering, what can I do? How can I fix this? And so you can't pull your thoughts and your focus off of this other person. So when you find yourself becoming obsessed about what somebody else is doing, that's back in codependent behavior. The next one is you notice that the worry, the concern, the thoughts is affecting your health or affecting your sleep or causing you to be very stressed. So you're noticing effects of your thinking and your focus on your physical health, your emotional health, psychological health, and you're recognizing that this is negatively impacting you once again. So you're not detaching, you're not letting go of this, you're again allowing it to hurt you physically, because we know that codependents tend to often get sick because of their focus on trying to fix another person. And the next one is that you are saying yes to things without thinking. So somebody brings up something that you could volunteer for, something that you could do, somebody needs to do something, and before you know it, once again, you're saying, oh, okay, I'll do that, rather than what you should do always when somebody asks you to do something is you should say, I'll think about it, I'll get back to you. Okay, rather than automatically saying yes. When you're automatically saying yes and you're not saying no to some things and you're not taking the time to think through, this is again back into codependent behavior, because you are taking on too much. You are not owning your right to say no, thinking about it, and having boundaries for what you will commit to. And what do we know that works into eventually exhaustion and burnout. So again, these signs of falling back into codependent behavior are codependent slip, are things that you need to watch out for. And it might not be a bad idea for you to think about yourself. What are the indications for you specifically? Maybe even just 3, and put them in your journal, or things that you need to watch for, things that will help you know that you're beginning to enter into a codependent slip. And then you can watch for that. Okay. And then just remembering God does not want us to be codependent. Scripture talks very clearly to us about taking care of ourselves and taking care of others, not just caring for others, not just thinking about how other people are doing, and that we are not responsible for forcing other people to change and having to be the one to figure things out. Each person has their own responsibility to do this for themselves. So I hope thinking about codependent slips will be really helpful for you. And I hope that you have gotten yourself familiar with my resources at this point, my classes, my books, all of the things that I have. You can access that by going to my website, changemyrelationship.com. And I hope to hear from you if you have any questions. So thank you for watching this video on Change My Relationship. Thank you.